So welcome everyone. My name is Cristian Cenetto. I'm from Namex. And we are really happy to have you here to join our ANIX 2024 meeting. This meeting actually is hosted by Namex. I don't know how many of you already know Namex. Namex is the consortium that manages the internet exchange points of Rome, Naples, Bari. And ANIX Meeting is also managed by RASH, the Albanian Academic Network. Namex and RASH together support ANIX, which is the only neutral internet exchange point in Albania right now. So this is the annual gathering of ANIX Meeting. Actually, the last edition was in 2022, so it was not really every year the annual meeting, but we hope so that the next year we'll be here again in Tirana. And I would start to say thank you to our sponsor. Otherwise, these great events are not possible. So I mentioned them. If you can show them, please. Thank you. If we can so our sponsor, maybe. Anyway, we say thank you to Ratten, to RIPE-NCC, to EXA, to Catchpoint, to Convergenze, and to SuiWeb. Thank you very much to everyone. And it's very important because they have provided coffee, so you know who to say thank you. So some practical information before the start. Please ensure that every one of you has a badge. If you don't have, please go to the desk outside, so we know who you are and we can have your email for further communication, which is very important for us to help to build the networking here in Albania and in Italy as well. If you have any questions anyway, here or outside, you find always someone from our team. So please do your questions. I would like to go with the agenda overview of today. We have this printout, but actually, as some of you know, agenda goes changing every time. So this is just like 2 days ago agenda. We have another agenda today, but it's the final one, actually. So we have started with the welcome coffee, of course. We will have the opening remarks from the institution, and thank you everyone from the institution of Albania, Italy, and European Union that joined us today. And then we go on with the ANIX presentation from Namex and RASH. And we'll go on with other presentation from RIPE-NCC. We'll have a coffee break. Then EuroISPA director, she wanted to join us today, but flights were not so easy to come from Helsinki to Tirana. So we have her on Zoom, just rather after the coffee break. And then we have this big important panel. I invite you all to stay after coffee break, because this panel is very important for the discussion here in Tirana about the infrastructure, the digital infrastructure, the ISP situation, and the future, actually, of the telecommunications in Albania and in Europe as well. So I think it's the time also to show you another important thing for us, which is Slido. I don't know if the name in English is Slido, Slido. This is something that I really don't know. And I show you how to use it. Okay, thank you. Yes, that one. So we have a QR code here. Okay. So I don't know if you can see the QR code. Okay. If it's too far from the people at the end of the room, you can go on slido.com and you can put the number 333-2532. So which is the number of our conversation. Slido is a tool for instant poll, and it's very important to have constant conversation with our attendees. I would start to give a great welcome to, I'm sorry for the pronunciation, I hope to, yep. So sorry, can we change the slides? Thank you. Okay. So I would like to say a big thank you to the first institution who joined us today, Enkeleda Mutai, I hope so. Deputy Minister of Infrastructure and Energy. Thank you. Thank you very much. I give you the microphone.
Thank you very much for this excellent opportunity to be speaking to this platform, which is constituted by excellent representation of, let's say, inventors, operators, and especially owners of digital infrastructures, let's say, in Albania, such as internet service providers, being one of those players, very important ones, let's say, contributing to the outcome and especially the digital transformation of this country. As a ministry, we have been honored to be invited in this meeting today, which is an annual meeting of an entity which is, let's say, representing the very force of the markets. I mean, practically an internet exchange point, which is connecting all those internet service providers and owners of the networks who find the economy, let's say, via solutions such as this point for the provision of services which are viable, more economically, let's say, reachable to the users, and which is the most important thing, which provide connectivity. This ministry actually can speak to you about what it has made during these years, what policies it has adopted. Part of them may be, let's say, bringing effects and impact to your activities. But obviously, we look forward to be hearing in this meeting today what exactly can be improved, what else can be provided. And we are mentioning one of the latest instruments that we have been provided, which is the adoption of the Electronic Communication Code, a very important legal instrument, which not only because we would like to align with European legislation, and Albania has already set the pace in order to be part of that, let's say, aligning that legislation, but especially because we want to be part of the single digital European market. And we believe that these sort of solutions for this part of the markets is the one we would like to hear from, we would like to understand from, what exactly even the premises which are provided by the new code, which is construction of very high capacity networks, broadband networks, solutions provided to the customers, and coming to the level of, I'm using a phrase some friends who have been yesterday in another meeting, I mean, raising to the level of the challenge, which is let's say, connecting the networks, connecting the countries, and provide solutions which are not only resilient, viable, and economically sufficient for the market to flourish, but also which are secure. And provide that level of security for all the providers, for all the consumers, and which satisfy the requests of the customers, not only in Albania, not only the region, but also in countries such as Italy. And under these premises, I would like to thank the Namex, along with Rush, these two institutions which are operating and managing this, let's say, internet exchange point, as an example of what can be done in cooperation between institutions, between entities from this part and the other part of the Adriatic Sea, but as a part of the example of the connectivity and communication that we can have amongst us and entities, let's say, between, let's say, the Albania, the region, and the Europe. We hopefully would like to extend it even furthermore. So, dears, these notes, which are notes actually, which are provided to you with, we believe, the due humility. We are here to really just to make and to deliver to you some notes, not only of appreciation for all the efforts that this market, the market of the internet service providers, and these points, you know, have been, let's say, affording in all these years, but especially trying to set the point from which we could start and we could be of help for another momentum of cooperation, which is facilitated by the momentum Albania is in, and it is exactly the momentum of starting of the negotiation talks with the European Union for the membership, full membership in the European Union. Therefore, envisaging all those opportunities, not only this ministry could provide, but also programs which are already open and which are already, in the eyes of everybody, could provide to this network, to the internet service providers being as one of those very important players, telecommunication providers for the networks and services. So we would love to deliver to you a plea. Kindly let us know what can we do more, what in the implementation of the new legislation can be there in order to support your activities, what the programs in which Albania has been associated, such as the Digital Euro program, Horizon Europe, which is there as an opportunity, but also other opportunities that we can help for. We would be, let's say, of assistance to you. I believe that the government has a very clear role, opening the path to all the private sector, and we know that the telecommunication and internet provider sector is already liberalized since many years, and we're proud to say it has been one of the first markets which has been opened up to liberalization. So under this perspective, we just deliver the best of the wishes to this cooperation and to this structure of, let's say, which have seen its success in the country via RASH and Namex in ANIX Meeting. We wish to you the best of the workings today and whatever solutions that you are going to provide to all your cooperators in Albania, but also overseas. And on the other side, we would love to share with you. And in this case, we would like to also pay another thanks to the DigiConnect, another office, very important office of cooperation for Albania, point of encounter for us, Mr. Kleiner, in which Albania would love to see the opportunities to open other potentials for our markets, which is very vivid. It is very fierce because obviously we have many operators in this market, but which has also appetite to grow. And there is a lot of potential to grow, for the which we would love to be that intermediator. We hope silent and unseen many times, but that intermediator which really opens up ways and paths for the flourishing of this sort of cooperation, and which provide especially possibility for the synergy between infrastructure networks. So digital networks which rely in other networks in order to provide that sort of economy in building the digital infrastructure so as to reduce the costs. But on the operational part, whatever solution that you may see could be there for the right of way, modes of modalities and solutions which could easy up the operation of the networks in the markets and providing that added value to the consumers, we would be more than happy to have a more stringent cooperation and see for solutions which represent even best practices in Europe and can be shared and implemented in Albania also. Thank you very much for having the patience to be hearing us today. We look forward to really, be of any help, but especially support, be trustful about that, for the support that we would love to be giving to all of you, and the continuation of, but also the flourishing of other activities which support the connectivity, the economy of the connectivity, and provide added value to the Albanian economy at large. Thank you very much for your patience.
So, thank you, Deputy Minister. The title of the meeting of today is, as you can read, Digital Albania Towards a Digital Europe. So your speech was very important for us, for everyone sitting here, from Namex to Rush to internet service providers and everyone. So we have mentioned European Union more than one time. And so I invite here the speaker from European Union, who is the director of DigiConnect, Thibaut Kleiner. And thank you very much for joining us today. And so we have another perspective of the digital environment in Europe right now. Thanks.
Good Good morning. What a pleasure to be here today, dear Vice Minister, dear Alep Bako, dear Maurizio Goretti, dear Ayan Gelash, dear guests, and ladies and gentlemen. I'm really happy to be here in person today, to see so many of you and to have the opportunity also to hear firsthand the situation about what is happening in Albania. And it's an important moment, as you know, I mean, in general, at the level of the European Union, because we just started with a new commission. So the second mandate of our president, Mrs. von der Leyen, is also at a turning point for Europe. We are faced with a number of geopolitical difficulties, as you may know. But at the same time, we see that there are key elements in terms of our competitiveness that are at stake today. And basically, the choice for Europe is to let the situation overtake us or to actually rejoin and start afresh with a stronger mandate. And I think that's very much what is happening right now in Brussels. I think there is a lot of determination to take these challenges in our hands and to actually come out stronger from them. And in fact, if you look at our new leadership, we have now an executive vice president, Mrs. Virkkunen, who is in charge not only of tech sovereignty, but also of democracy and security. And I think that this is really an important element, that we are linking these digital technologies with these geopolitical elements, and with also the importance of developing the technology that will make us not only more prosperous, but also more secure. And I think that's also an important message. So if I look at the new priorities that we just outlined, and I think this is also relevant in Albania probably, we see indeed competitiveness at the top, making sure that we also develop growth, we develop opportunities for our companies, but we make sure also that internationally we go faster and with a stronger focus on businesses. In the past years, Europe has been really developing a quite successful agenda on making the digital agenda a positive force for people. It has been really the human-centric approach that drove our efforts, making sure that the technology is beneficial, not that the technology is an instrument for autocrats or to diminish your freedom, but making sure that the technology is there to give opportunities to people, to include everyone in this digital transformation. And this was done through a series of legislations. So we've had a number of legislations on digital platforms, for instance, to make sure that they keep the market open, that also they don't abuse their very significant market powers, and they leave also the freedom of speech, in their systems. We've also been very active on everything linked to artificial intelligence, to data economy, to making sure that we have a favorable environment also for our businesses in the digital sector. Now the focus is not only to implement this digital rule book, as we call it, but also to make it as simple as possible. Because sometimes, if you see small and medium-sized enterprises, they have to see also the benefits of these elements and to make it really easy for them to implement. That's why in most of our regulations, we have a carve-out for small companies. We don't want them to be burdened. We want actually the market to function in the best possible manner. And we are also announcing new initiatives in some areas. So there will be in 2025 a massive effort in the EU around artificial intelligence and cloud. So we foresee an initiative to boost our efforts to make sure that we can be what our Vice President calls the AI continent. So Europe as the AI continent, because we have a lot of assets. We have actually the largest number of AI engineers in the world in Europe. People don't know that, but this is actually a fact. We also have a lot of capabilities in terms of industries and in terms of the use of AI for many of our industry and services. And this is what we want to develop. So we will have an AI and cloud initiative, but also something which I think is really interesting is called the Adopt AI initiative. That's something we are developing now. And the idea is really to see from across the economy how everyone could absorb and use these AI technologies for their own benefit. Not something really abstract, something really concrete in terms of applications and solutions. And finally, we also want to make security a top priority. So we will revisit our cybersecurity agenda beginning of this year to make sure that we integrate a lot of these elements. We simplify also the links between our agencies like ENISA in Greece, the Cybersecurity Center also there in Bucharest, but actually the efforts of all our member states to make our networks safe, secure, and also future-proof. And this will translate also in a stronger international agenda. I think that it's nice to see that enlargement is back, in the top in the Commission. So we are really keen on having more member states, and I think Albania is showing that progress is in the making. So we really look forward, even maybe by the end of this decade, to have new member states in the EU, and that's really a top priority for us. But this moment is not only a time to look back and to prepare ourselves, it's also a time to hear about new ideas. And that's also why I came today, because I'm interested in your views in terms of what is happening here. And my message is that looking, at the situation, Albania is doing quite well. And I think that seeing from Brussels, we are really happy to see the developments. You mentioned it, dear Minister. You have also a good alignment with our priorities in the Albania digital agenda from 22 to 26. And we see already a lot of progress in terms of the deployment of the services economy in Albania, e-government. Actually, you are leading in the Western Balkans in that field. There has been steady growth actually overall in Albania. Now we are around 3% growth annually. This is quite well around the region. And I was really happy to see that 5G services have just been launched, which is, I think, also a great development. So with all this, we see not only steady progress, we see an agenda in Albania that is extremely positive, and that we believe is making Albania not only an important partner on the map, but increasingly a trusted partner, not only in the region, but really more generally as part of the EU development. So in that context, we see not only the possibility to accelerate 5G development and deployment, and also to make sure that it is fully aligned with our regulatory framework, but we see also the opportunity to strengthen cybersecurity and data governance mechanism in Albania, and I would really encourage you to do so. We also see the opportunity to finalize your efforts around the audiovisual and the media sector, where there is still some opportunity to foster innovation, but also inclusivity. And that's what I wanted to conclude with. We see these positive developments with Albania, the optimistic view we have on the country and the opportunities to work together. But that's really where we are at now. You mentioned the Digital Europe program. Albania is an associated partner. The digital innovation hubs, I would like to mention, because this is a very concrete instrument. It's about linking the technology and the partners, SMEs, but also large companies, but also it's about linking Albania to the rest of this digital innovation hub network, one in every region. It's a fantastic opportunity for integration in the single market. And there are also other projects like the identity wallet. We have this growth plan in the Balkans. We see the identity wallet as a fantastic opportunity to create these links, to facilitate that people cross border, but also benefit from services from e-health to education and other certificates. So that's also something that I believe can be even further improved from the good situation you are in Albania. And finally, I would like to really encourage further efforts on cybersecurity. The 5G toolbox is really in Europe now top of the agenda. We will reinforce this even in the coming mandate. We are now accelerating efforts also on the security of submarine cables. As you may know, there has been some incident in the Baltic. We want to make sure that we have really capabilities to repair, to deploy cables around Europe even more. And I think that today's conference is a great opportunity to look at how connectivity and interaction can transform really the whole economy. So really, cybersecurity, the 5G toolbox is something that I would encourage Albania to deepen further. And similarly, we see the opportunities of thriving competition in the telecommunications sector as critical for encouraging investment. So also something that we will look at, because it's not only important to have, dark fiber, it's important that the prices are right so that people embrace this opportunity and use the services even further. So in short, my message today is one of optimism. Optimism not only for Albania, for Western Balkan, but actually for Europe, because I see that now is a time of truth to some extent. We have challenges, but we know that we have to find it in ourselves to raise to the challenge and to grow further in terms of competitiveness, in terms of security, and in terms also of joining forces between all European partners for these significant results. Thank you.
So thank you, Thibaut Kleiner. And the last remark from today is from the Italian embassy in Tirana. I introduce you Mr. Stefano Salmaso. Welcome, Stefano.
Hello, everyone. I'm pretty sure I could keep speaking English or switch to Italian. I'm pretty sure everybody in the room could understand, but let's keep it in English as we started. Dear Deputy, dear Enkeleda, dear Thibaut, thank you for the organizers for having us here. As you can see, I'm not the ambassador, which actually brings his best regards to you. He's about to leave to get a position in the Italian embassy in Berlin. That shows how good his job has been here, and the connection between the Western Balkans enlargement with the Berlin process and the connection with Brussels is now a reality. I remember years ago we were talking about Albania whether it was going to European Union or not. Now it's a matter of when the country will join European Union. And Italy has always been on the side of Albania in this path, in this long and complicated journey to be part of the European Union. And digitalization represents one of these sectors where Albania has really been improving in the last years. I would say that Italian companies have also had an important role as we participate to many events in Albania about infrastructure, about agrotourism, about tourism, about agriculture. We see that digitalization is a multiple sector that repeats itself. We now we need these cell phones, we need computers, we need internet connections, and we kind of get lost if we don't have a 10 minutes connection on our phone. I think everybody can feel that, especially the younger generations, which are extremely linked to the job you are doing in an excellent way. So we found out that many of the most important companies, Italian companies, I want to name like just two, like engineering or Sisal, have landed in Albania, and they have hired about 700 to 800 units in a super rapid time. That means that Albania offers a highly skilled workforce in the sector, and that's part also the governmental program. As Italy, Albania doesn't have much natural resources. We cannot count here on oil or gas or something gold. So the most important resource is the human capital. So the education, the training in this sector, which now we say doesn't represent the future, is now part of today, maybe also yesterday. So that's why the institutions are here to support your work today, because it's really important what you do. So I'm really glad to be part of this event today, and I'm glad the EU representatives are also here, because we rely on what you do. We also need your services, and we we really are dependent on technology and internet connections. Italy has been important in this sector. Just to, I mean, say some numbers. The interchange between Italy and Albania represents 30% of the total exchange of Albania with the rest of the world. 30%, if we consider the second players, they have about 7 to 8 percentage points. So that means we have about 22 percentage points advantage over other countries, which I don't name now. But the exchange is about 4 billion euros, which is about 20% of the Albanian GDP. So we count here on about 3,000 Italian companies. It's about 50% of the foreign companies in Albania. Just to give you an idea, in India, which is the most populous country in the world, we have about 700 Italian companies. Of course, Albania and Italy share a common geographical, historical, and cultural heritage. That's why we also feel that the notion, the idea of the border is something that belongs to the past. And as European Union member states, we believe Albania and the rest of the Balkans should be part of this common area. And this sector is crucial to the advancement of any chapter, every progress that Albania will make into this long and complicated process of joining the EU. As for foreign direct investment, also Italy is at the second place, and we notice that in the last year it has really accelerated. We are about 1.6 billion euros as a stock. So these numbers, these economic numbers, they are very crude, very real, but factual, but they show what is been going on for centuries now, for a very long time. The importance also of the arboresh culture in Italy, I just want to mention, because last time I was in a meeting like this, and you said, but you didn't mention the importance of the old Albanian communities in Italy. So I really want to stress the importance of that, to share the culture, even the old Albanian culture. We're talking about 5-6 centuries ago. Now they are perfectly integrated into Italy, and that's the idea that I have of Albania perfectly integrated into European Union. Thank you very much for today, and I hope today will be the opportunity to really enhance ideas and networking for a better future for everyone. Thank you.
So thank you, Stefano Salmaso, for this friendship between Italy and Albania, and also the numbers are really impressive, actually. So before going on into our discussion today, more technical, not only technical, just like a view of what has done in ANIX and what's going on for the future, I just invite you to go back to Slido because it's working and the polls are open. So we have already here, do you know what an IXP is? The 88% answered said yes, but still, mostly yes, but I'd be happy to have a reminder. And yes or no, yes, it's changing, okay? So the poll is going on all the day, all the morning, but for anyone who said, I would want to know something more, we have the right people here that is going to say something about IXPs. So I invite Mr. Maurizio Goretti on, if he wants, because I say Maurizio Goretti is the CEO of Namex, and is really, I can say that, is a personal thing, is one of the person that has always believed in internet exchange point, not only just an opportunity of business, but more than that, an opportunity to get a better internet, more resilience, more secure, and free of access for everyone. So Maurizio Goretti, here.
Thank you very much. I have some boring slide to try to explain you what we are doing here and what an exchange point is. Although it seems that everybody more or less know what an exchange point. But before to start, I would like to call on stage the director of the National Research Network of Albania, Arjan Jelaj, because if you want to come, Arjan, I think that a welcome remarks also from him. It's very welcome. Together with Ariana, we started to do something together in 2011. We started this project of this National Research Network. So I was the Italian that brings the representative of the Italian Prime Minister, but Ariana was the guys that to develop all the National Research Network. I think I'll leave the stage to you before my boring slide to say welcome to everybody. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Maurizio, for the words which you held. Yes, welcome all the people which are here. And I wanted to thank also the Ministry of Infrastructure and Energy being part of this meeting. It's important for us to have the support of the Albanian government, but also the EU Commission, represented from Mr. Kleinert from DG Connect. We are a long-time member from EU organizations. Rush, as Maurizio explained, start this path, this journey with an agreement ratified from the Albanian and Italian Parliament as an autonomous centrum for the development and of the ICT, but also as a university consortia. It was important this to open the door for the university and also for the government to be part of one organization. So to bridge each other, to bridge also with the industry. It was important for us that to bring together all the stakeholders from the education and research and from the industry of information society and technology. And this path started years ago, and we grow in the last 10 years, offering mostly all services possible for the education. We bring a new model in Albania, the model in-house. Also, thanks from our partners from Cinega in this time. Namex, Maurizio was part of Cinega in this time, and which bring us to develop this model. And we start in last 10 years to develop over 10 software platforms for higher education and for the part of the national level. And we are proud from this. We give a possibility for young professionals to grow inside of our community and to be our ambassador whatever they go. Also, the path through the Joint Association was really hard. At first, we started without nothing. 2013, we applied to be full member, and they have believed in us. And after 10 years, 2023, they returned in Albania, organizing here the TNC 23, which is one of the biggest conferences in the field of ICT, returning in the Balkan after over 22 years. And this was what you can arrive if you believe and if you continue your path. Difficulties will be all the time, but important is that you never give up. And we have realized this through also the help of our partners. And I thank everybody which have participated in our project, in our ideas, have helped us, Namex, Cinega, Joint Association, EU Commission also was part of this. And we hope we'll continue giving a new model. It's important to give a new model to a country, how we can develop, how can be open, how can be also a dream for young professionals. It's important for us to have our young professionals here in our country. was an important signal for Italian embassy that here you have 3,000 Italian companies, and we have this capacity to grow inside of our country and to be one of the hubs for ICT in West Balkan. Thank you, Maurizio.
So, welcome to everybody. I'll try to give you an update about the Internet Exchange Point here in Albania, ANIX. It seems that you know very well what an Exchange Point is. It's an internet an important piece of an internet infrastructure. It's an hub. They are present in every big city in each country of the world, and we'll try to explain you better. Okay, what is Namex? Namex is the Italian Internet Exchange Point based in Rome. We started in 1995. Next year we will have 30 years old, and we started as a no-legal entity, and then we developed, and we have several milestones. The first milestone was in 2011, where we started the Albania Exchange Point apart from Rome, and then we kicked off Bari in Italy, and next 2 years ago, Naples. Whoops. I pushed the wrong button. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. In this moment, in Rome, there are connected 255 network. We have representatives for each category of internet service provider, from the content providers, from the international carrier, from the national Italian carrier, and some special guests as governatory agencies, National Research Network, and also we connect the Vatican. And in fact, we always say that we are the only blessed internet exchange point in the world because of the Pope. So is a consortium. Who owns the consortium is 180 internet service provider, from the big guys, Netflix, Amazon, Google, to the smallest Italian internet service provider, passing through all the internet service providers I showed you before. That means that we can represent not only the interests of somebody, but the interests of all the internet service providers that use the internet exchange point. We are also not for profit. That means that we do not means that we provide the service for free, but it means that we reinvest the profit inside the consortium for several things that I'll show you later. It's a model that works. It's 30 years now, and we are growing very fast. So it seems that this sort of ISP democracy works very well. And we are also neutral. There is a concept that's very hard to explain sometimes, especially here. I have some thought with you at the dinner or in the previous meeting that we had before. Try to explain what does it mean, a neutral. It seems to be a little bit hard, but I'll try to do my best. Consider if this exchange point was hosted by one of your worst competitor, you will ever join it? I think no. So it is important that if you run an infrastructure like a hub of an internet exchange point, this exchange point has to be neutral, because it's not there. You may be considered not to join because, for example, was hosted by your competitor. Our traffic grows a lot because okay, I jumped this. Okay, the slides can see, we can see the slides too much, but in Rome, in this moment, we are present in 5 data centers, and we have, as I say, 255 networks, and our traffic, it's growing very fast. The last reason why it's growing very fast is the live football, because in Italy, I don't know here in Albania, but in Italy, you can watch the live streaming football, the Serie A, only through internet. So this boosts the traffic lots, and we almost reached the 1 terabit traffic that we hope to reach very soon, but very close to that. Another important thing is the community. This is very important part of the exchange point, because this meeting of today, I think, is very important to know new people, to exchange experience, and so the community is very important. We organize this very big event in Italy once a year. Next event will be in June in Rome. We'll celebrate our anniversary, and so if you want to join, the meeting is free, so we are more than welcome. Last time we have roughly 600 people that joined the meeting. How we invest our profit? We try to invest 40 exchange points. That means infrastructure, we hire people because we are growing, but also we invest in other things, like we publish books, and this moment we publish our third books. We produce, the books is about networking. So we have a book about BGP, IPv6. We also provide the courses for our members. So it's 3-day courses with final certification, because I think there is a problem in developing the knowledge of the people that work inside the center, inside the internet service provider. And sometimes it's not easy to find a very good training. We also produce podcasts. We have a new podcast. It's about the internet exchange point. So it's available in all the main podcast platform. And we also organize event like this one. Every month in Rome, for example, we organize this beer. There is the brewery where the people from the internet service provider of the region gather together to do what I hope that you will do today, to have new people, exchange knowledge, and so on. So why Albania? Because we are present in Rome, Naples, and Bari, and because Italy is in the center of the Mediterranean, and because Namex means a Mediterranean exchange point. So we think that we can have a big role, an important role inside the exchange of the internet traffic of the Mediterranean. And it's been lots of years that we look to Albania to because we think that Albania can have a role connecting as a point of the connection of the whole Balkan region, because its geographical position very close to Italy, and then we can collaborate together. So why an XP in Albania? First of all, I like to say that ANIX is a pro bono project of both Namex and Rush. So in some way, we finance until today this project, because I think it's important to develop an exchange point here and to have a community of people. So the first reason why we want to have it's useful to have an exchange point in Albania, because it's important to keep the Albanian traffic local. What does it mean? We did a research in 2017 that show that if you try to trace routes from at that time was from Skotar to Tirana, instead of just pass only, stay the traffic only in Albania, the traffic goes all around Europe and come back. This is because the two providers do not interconnect locally one to each other. That's mean a problem of efficiency, quality, security, and so on. It is important to have an exchange point. Sorry, because otherwise I can see the slide. It is important to have an exchange point because this builds community of internet exchange point, and this means to build personal connection and also exchange experience with also people. For this reason, in 2017, we organized the first Albanian Network Operator Forum. It was a really success because gathered together, a lot of you here and some international friends from abroad. And one of the consequences of this meeting was the fact that 1 year later, we were able to start the Albanian Network Exchange Point network inside the Rush premises. It was important to have an internet exchange point because this brings a global content provider to Albania. not only you have to keep the traffic local, but also you have to have the main content provider in Albania closer to your access provider, to your provider. And in December 2020, we were able to connect Facebook at the Albania exchange point. And then after Facebook, also Netflix joined from that time. Another reason is it's important to have a neutral point, because this creates a wholesale market, neutral wholesale market. If you gather together lots of companies inside the same data center, it happens that you create competition and that you lower the price and you have a better opportunity to have greater choice of services. You can buy not just from one or two, you can buy from several internet service providers that provide you the same services, and this creates competition and lower the price. And because of this, we were able to have the first international transit provider join the exchange point in 2020. And then last year, also, the first international content joined the exchange point. There was EXA. The first one was American Electric, and this was EXA. EXA has this very important network with this submarine cable that connects Albania to Italy, that created these new roads that have a lower latency between our two countries and create a corridor for the east of the continent. Last but not least, the fact that we Italians are here to collaborate with the Albania Research Network create new opportunity for the company. Then last month, the first Italian internet service provider joined the internet exchange point and started to offer their services convergence. As Christian said, the last time of this meeting was 2 years ago, and then again was an occasion to exchange some thoughts and have a new connection. But let's talk about today. Today, ANIX is operational, is a neutral internet exchange point. Again, this concept of neutral, we can talk if you want about that. Is an Albanian internet service provider hub, that because it gathered together few local internet exchange points. At the same time, is a data center where you can find international carriers and content providers. Some news. As I told you, this is a pro bono project for us, but this summer we signed an agreement with the Albania National Research Network, because now we start a new era of the exchange point, and from the summer we were able to act as a one-stop shop for the internet service provider that are present in Namex and want to open services in Albania. This, I think, that will boost the presence of new Italian and international service provider here in ANIX and in general in Albania. We met, I don't know if the Kosovo friends are present in the room. I don't know if there are, but we started to collaborate with the Kosovo exchange point, Chosic. We met them and we started collaboration also with them to try to develop, the Chosic exchange point is already up and running, but we collaborate with them to try to improve the internet exchange point in Kosovo. And we, together with them, we won a grant from Internet Society to upgrade their internet exchange points. And we are seeing how can we develop this collaboration to make the Kosovo internet exchange more important. Future, what to do next? This is almost the last slides. First of all, to bring new international carriers, operators in general. This is a goal that we want to work on and to push. Second, we need to bring to the exchange point other Albania internet service providers. It's important. I think that we have to work, we would like to work together to give to Albania more important as a crossroad of the Balkans and in general toward East Europe. And we continue to work to strengthen the community of Albanian ISPs. And last but not least, we will work to try to contribute to the transition toward the European market. That is a part that the Albania already started, but we would like to contribute to that. Thank you very much. That's all for me.
Well, thank you. And Arian, I wanted to introduce you, but Maurizio really wanted to introduce you before me. So you had a presentation. I don't know if you have some slides that you really wanted to show to the attendees. If you want, join us, please. So because you know that Maurizio was so happy to be here and having you in front of you. So so I couldn't wait to see you. So we can see just your slides now.
Yeah. Okay, to not make a boring presentation because I spoke before, I make only an overview how RASH, what is RASH? We are the National Research and Education Network created by an agreement between both parliaments, Albanian and Italian parliament, and to develop a National Research and Education Network. So we start, our journey start as a National Research and Education Network in Albania, and after international as a member of a JANT association, which is the biggest network in Europe, the association of 38 NRANs, the JANT association, which connect over 50 million people, about 10,000 institutions, and part of them are all higher education institutions, research institutions, research centers in Europe, and museum, libraries, etc., etc. So it's one of the biggest. It's the hub of the all global research and education network, because through JANT Association are connected the Internet 2, which is the American pan-university network, Clara in Southeast America, Twain in Asia, and also the Africa through ASREN and Ubuntu. So the JANT is the hub of the all networks in the world regarding the research and education. We built 2016 our network, and after 1 year we connect to the to the JANT network, which is the e-infrastructure from the for the European education. Is a project financed also thanks the EU Commission through 50% from the EU Commission, and the rest is financed through the membership fee for all the members. So it's a kind of voluntary association, which the biggest country, Germany, Italy, etc., pay more and profit also the other country. Thanks this, we also last 2 years ago, we as accepted as full member also from the European Open Science Cloud, which is one of the new developed in the level of ICT in Europe. This is only an overview of what I explained before. All the software which we have developed in the level in Albania, in-house with our staff and our new engineers, are two pillars. One is the pillar of EU governance, which are all the software for the university, and the other are the level of national level, which are the services for public. We are maybe recognized, all of you have a kid or through Albania, which is our platform 10 years ago is development. It is the national platform for university assessment, which we make a decade now. Here is the overview of the infrastructure, which we have arrived to develop over all this year. We have our own data center, our own network in Tirana, and the connection to the regional university. But also, this is the map. We have a 10 gig ring in Tirana, and also the same connection to Shkodra, Gjirokastra, Vlora, Korçë, Elbasan, and Durrës. So a large map of the networking. But last year we upgraded also the connection to JANT network, and we have two links: 100 gig connection to Milan and 100 gig to Sofia. This is the map of the JANT association, and at last here is the Tirana, and we are interconnected with all the Europe and offer the possibility for all Albanian university research academia, but also for companies which deal with the innovation to be part of this network and to take services. We have implemented a large package of services, but maybe it's not the time to explain everything now. ANIX, Mauricio spoke enough over the ANIX, was a good idea to start this project. And also with support of Namex, we have arrived now to have a neutral internet exchange in Tirana. Here's the map. You have seen this before of all the providers which are in ANIX. How to join, this is important, how to join Namex. ANIX is simple. You need only to register. You go to our webpage, you can register there. We are in the center of Tirana. Rruga Durrësit is our data center. And after register by ANIX, you can be part of the EXP and can interconnect with the ANIX. On the view of some of activities which we have arrived to do over the years, one of the biggest was the TNC in Tirana, which we have over 900 people here. Also, RIPE NCC, we have a good collaboration with RIPE. We hope, we organized years ago the Southeast Europe RIPE meeting, regional meeting, and we hope to return after 10 years in Tirana, maybe not in few years, in 2 years, maybe we'll organize the RIPE regional meeting, Southeast Europe. Also, we stay constantly with the connection with different Italian and Indonesian companies to invite them to be part of this. And we signed, as Mauricio told last this year in June, also an agreement to enforce our collaboration to grow ANIX. Thank you. If you have a question, how to be part of ANIX, I will be here, and you can also contact by face-to-face meetings after the midday. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ariane. So we have a last presentation before the coffee break. I hope that you are using Slido. There is another poll going on. Yeah, what do you expect from ANIX? Reinforce the community, more info for Kosovo connection, bring more content providers. Okay. I remember you that you have a great opportunity in the afternoon. There is this room will be for the one-on-one meetings. There are still some spots available. You can go on our website to register one-to-one, and every information you can find on your email. And if you don't know how to do that, you can ask to our desk outside. So I introduced you. We can talk about IP addresses. I think that here everyone knows what an IP address is. Do you know also what an IPv6 is? Like, you know? Yes. Okay. But here we have a person that knows better than all of us, I think. And this is not about our presentation, actually, but I want to introduce Jelena Chosic. I'm sorry for the pronunciation, Jelena. I hope that 50% was okay, from RIPE NCC. Thank you. Thank you for being here. And you have a great responsibility because after your presentation, there is the coffee break. So.
And I could, thank you very much for the introduction. And I could sense already in the room that people are a bit impatient. I will try to be brief, but I cannot guarantee. So I will be standing like here because I also need to see my slides. And do I have a clicker? Oh, here. Okay. Okay, so again, my name is Jelena Chosic, and I work as a community builder for the RIPE NCC. And today I'm going to share a relatively brief and somewhat high-level overview of the internet landscape and network resilience in Southeast Europe, with a bit of a focus on Albania. We see that, okay? So before I dive into the subject, I think it makes sense for us to first define the core concepts that we're going to use. So, so this is the most common definition of the internet resilience that I could find online, and it basically says that internet resilience is the capacity of a country or a region's internet infrastructure to maintain stable and reliable service despite disruptions, whether they are intentional or unintentional. And similar to the game of Jenga, not all parts are equal. Some are more important, and when it comes to the internet infrastructure, we call those parts critical internet infrastructure. But measuring internet resilience, it's quite a difficult job, and this is something that a lovely team of researchers working for the Internet Society under the project called Pulse have been working on for the last couple of years. And I really like the framework that they came up with. They used the data from various trusted sources, third-party sources. And very briefly, this is 4 different regions of Europe where we see Eastern and Southern Europe. Albania has been placed under Southern Europe, by the way. And with that, we see that it was, compared to other regions of Europe, it has the lowest percentage of internet resilience. And I'm going to explain more. And we can zoom in further. And these are all of the 10 countries in the Southeast Europe. And again, if we look for Albania specifically, we can see that it's in the bottom half. But then we can further zoom in into the core, the full overview of the project. And we see the 4, I would say, main categories that the Pulse project came up with. And those categories are infrastructure, performance, security, and market readiness. If we compare them with each other, we can see that the lowest scored out of 4 has been infrastructure. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take a deeper dive, go deeper on some of these components that perhaps the Albanian community, internet community, has been struggling the most with, and also where we as the RIPE NCC could provide additional insights to complement this analysis. So let's start with the market structure. Again, very, very high level overview that could, some of you probably already know this, but it might be informative to other people. So this is, these are just visualizations of the market structure in Albania. The data is the public data that I found on the website of the Albanian National Regulatory Agency. I just made these simple pie charts based on that data. Where we see when it comes to broadband, fixed networks, we have One Albania and Vodafone Albania having similar market shares, and then we have a third and fourth player, and then others, it says 40%. That means the 40% belongs to the other smaller providers. But then if you look at the market share of the mobile network, mobile market, then we see two dominant providers that have about the equal share. And then I wanted to compare that to other countries in the region. So let's look at Romania. How does it look in Romania? Again, the data is public data published by their own national regulatory agency. We see a slightly different image, right? Because when it comes to broadband, fixed networks, we see that 69%, this is the latest data, the most up-to-date data, goes to just one provider called DG that has been acquiring other smaller providers in the recent years. The next player, internet provider, would be Orange Romania with 18%, and then we have Vodafone Romania at 11%. So the number of 69, it's pretty high. But I can share with you that I attended the Romanian Network Operators Group just 2 months ago, and that I have been told by the community members that this number is even higher now. It goes to 75% of the market. I would say it's that this is a bit of a concerning number, because there's a higher chance that this provider is in a position to abuse their dominant position on the market. There have been some reports that they have already introduced some discriminatory practices against their competitors, primarily on the interconnection market. And then if you look at the mobile market, we see a different arrangement, with the DG having 33% of the market, again through recent acquisitions. And then we have Orange Romania at 36% and Vodafone Romania at 29%. So let's look at a different country, which is now Bulgaria. Again, different image. And for the broadband, fixed broadband, we see that Vivacom, which is the incumbent, has 29% of the market share. Then A1 Bulgaria 23%. Bonsatcom 4%, but as far as I know, they have been acquired by Vivacom recently. But then what's also important is to note that others, smaller, like all of the other providers, together combined to get the 44%. Just speaks about the concentration of the market, right? And we can also see the three main mobile providers in Bulgaria. There's another way to paint the same picture, and this is by showing you the calculated scores for the HHI index, which is the economic measure to represent the market concentration. And on the top of the list, when it comes to SE region, is to no surprise, if we recall the last few slides, is Romania with the highest score, so highest market concentration. And on the top of the list would be Bulgaria. Again, I showed you the pie chart, so it's not a surprise to see these numbers. And when it comes to Albania, I don't have one score, I have a range, because I have to explain this. Calculating this, for the calculation, we use the APNIC data that provides their own estimation of how many end users are behind each AES number. And this is an estimation. And also because of the well-known issue with the country codes in the RIPE database and other databases, APNIC sees both providers operating only in Kosovo and in Albania mixed together. So this type of calculation becomes a bit more difficult and imprecise. So that's why I provided you with a range. And even with that, we can still say that when it comes to market concentration, Albania falls somewhere in the moderate scale, which is in line with the rest of the region. So we can move now to the next component, which is the upstream provider diversity. So let's look at the Albania. When it comes to Albania, we see that there's a decent diversity when it comes to the networks that provide the connectivity to global internet, right? And also when it comes to the international transit providers, we do see a decent amount of redundancy. For example, maybe we can, I can point out that the One Albania does seem to rely a lot on the Sparkle, or that Vodafone Albania, not surprisingly, relies for transit on Vodafone Global. And very similarly, we would see, for example, in Slovenia, A1 Slovenia, of course, would have transit provider being A1 Austria. Again, in Slovenia, we see decent diversity when it comes to international connectivity. And lastly, I want to show the Romania as well. Similar pattern, where we see that Vodafone Romania would be relying on their global rights partner, which is Vodafone Global. But we still see decent amount of diversity. I'm going to move forward with the traffic localization. And this is something that has been already mentioned in the previous slides, but I'm going to provide more data on it. So what we did is we used our own internet measurement platform called RIPE Atlas to do mesh measurements between each RIPE Atlas probe in the region. And this, what we see here, is what happens if we treat the whole region as one country. So how much of the traffic stays within the region, how much it leaves. A lot leaves, but that's not a surprise. But perhaps more interesting would be if we do these types of measurements per each country, and how much internet traffic, how many paths, actually, internet paths, we do see going outside of each country. We see a lot of colors here, so I know it's difficult to see, but we see the usual suspects when it comes to locations: Vienna, Munich, Frankfurt, Amsterdam, London, Paris. And then if we zoom in into Albania more specifically, we see that the thickest line would go to Milan, but we again see a lot of Vienna, Frankfurt, Amsterdam, London, Paris, Geneva, and Sofia pops up as well. Again, something that we would expect to see when it comes to these specific locations. But when it comes to amount or the number of traffic paths that leave the country, this is perhaps suboptimal. And also what I wanted to mention as a disclaimer when it comes to this type of analysis and the tools that we use is that due to its nature, we're only able to see active paths. So this does not represent the full picture. And also we have a limited number of probes or physical devices that do these types of measurements. So if we want to create more accurate pictures, we would need to put more probes. Infrastructure, we go to the category that had the lowest score, and the subcategory is enabling infrastructure. And for this, I just wanted to share with you a very simple overview of where IXPs are in the region. Most of the countries of the Southeast Europe do have only one IXP that is typically located in the capital city and has been typically hosted by the university, with some exceptions. And then we see Romania and Bulgaria popping up with a larger number of IXPs and kind of being the regional or even European international interconnectivity hubs. But as we know, a lot of traffic these days does actually go to towards content and cloud providers. So again, very simple table for you to see where these providers are present in the region or where they are not present. And again, we can see that Interlan in Romania or BIX and NetIX in Bulgaria are popping up here as the hubs for the region. And then if we look for the Albanian IXP, this has already been mentioned that you have Facebook, Meta, and Netflix caches, right? And I'm moving towards almost the end of my presentation, which is more for security-oriented people. This is, as I said, routing security or routing hygiene, the way that ISO people called it. Oh, no? Okay, this one. So I need to explain this slide so you can understand what it means. This is analysis of the RPKI deployment in the region, with now focus on Albania, and more specifically, route origin validation. And route origin validation is much more trickier to measure compared to route origin authorization. But briefly, what my colleagues at the NCC did is that they took the raw Vista data sets that calculate just a second. That calculate the score based on the number of the RPKI invalid prefixes that an AS number can reach. And they have been very open when it comes to like the scores, and they classified the AS number as deploying ROV if the score is greater than 0. And what then they did is they assessed the ROV impact based on the network centrality, utilizing the AS hegemony methodology that measures centrality of the autonomous systems within a country. And this methodology measures the common transit networks to a local AS number and how much this AS relies on these transit networks based on the BGP data. And the AS hegemony values range from 0 to 1, and they indicate the fraction of paths crossing a node. So the most interesting part, I would say, on these plots would be to identify the nodes that appear to be more central, so larger on this plot, and to see if they are deploying ROV or not. And again, I have to put another disclaimer so that, because I'm sure that some people in the room know these AS numbers by heart, they don't need names, and that they can spot it. That again, we are seeing some of the operators, networks that operate only in Kosovo appearing here as local networks. So apologies for that, but I think we can still find this analysis useful, because there are several Albanian networks that could benefit a lot from deploying ROV. And just to compare that to other countries in the region, so this is an image for Romania. It looks slightly different, and we can see one really large node that a lot of smaller providers are behind them, and they are deploying ROV. So that's really good for them, and it makes the whole internet in Romania more secure. A slightly different image for Slovenia. Again, one big node that would be, of course, Telecom Slovenia, which are not at the moment still deploying ROV, but they could. And then I just want to conclude that internet resilience doesn't rely only on the internet infrastructure, but also it relies on you and on you building the strong community around that infrastructure. And that's why I'm very happy to see that this image from the first ANIX meeting, I'm happy to see that this community or this initiative is being restarted again. And this is just some takeaways. As you can read, I don't want to read it for you. But yes, overall, we do see that across the region, the former incumbents still play a significant role. The routing is generally efficient, but of course could be always improved. As I mentioned in as you saw in the visualizations with the RIPE Atlas measurements, we do see some anomalies in the region and also when it comes to Albania. When it comes to upstream diversity, again, we saw decent diversity. And as I mentioned in the last section about the routing security, if those nodes that do appear to be more central, if they start deploying route origin validation, this could really benefit everybody who is downstream from them. And that was basically the end of my presentation. But then I have very important requests for all of you. These are the AS numbers. These are the networks where we would really, really want to put more Atlas probes in. And I do have, these are the physical devices. I do have hardware probes with me. So if there are any people who work in these networks, could you please, after my presentation, approach me? And if you want, if you're interested, I could give you a probe, of course, for free, because it's a community project. I hope you can see all of the numbers. So this is our priority list. And then I'm not sure if we have time for questions. If not, we could just talk during the coffee break. And thank you very much for attention.
So thank you, Jelena, and thank you everyone for the first session of the morning. There are a lot of coffee for each slide, but now we can transform the slide into coffee. So it's coffee break time. We have 15 minutes, and we start back in 15 minutes with our director of EuroISPA from Helsinki. Thank you. Enjoy the coffee. Just a small reminder, you see that there are some headphones in front of you. There is a simultaneous translation from English to Albanese. So if you need it, if you want it, you can just wear them and the magic happens. The first question before starting our new session, sorry, please take a seat, please. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. So going back to Slido, we have an important question. And it's very important to ask this question because we have a very important guest just like in a couple of minutes. And this question is, why isn't there an ISP association in Albania? Every one of you has the right answer, I'm sure. So please use Slido to answer and we'll discuss about it later. So now I'm really happy to have Elina Ussa, the managing director at FICOM and the president of EuroISPA. So welcome, Elina. She's joining us from Helsinki.
Yes. Hello. Very great pleasure to be here. Thanks for the invitation to join the seminar today. And greetings from Helsinki, very snowy and cold Helsinki. My name is Elina Ussa, and as introduced already, I'm the president of EuroISPA and managing director of Finnish Association of FICOM. And I'm here to explain how the association works and to promote as well the idea of having the Albanian ISPs association formed in the future. You can change the slide for the FICOM as. So FICOM is a national association for the internet service providers. And here, well, this is, you could take the other one first, the FICOM first, and then the EuroISPA. I think they are in the wrong order in the presentation. If you take the next one. Yes, thanks. Here on this slide, you can see the members that we have. They are very different kind of digital companies. Some of them you wouldn't first think of them as forming the association together, but it's the digital infrastructure is the basement of our work. And according to European survey, we have in Finland very high quality networks. Especially we are praised for mobile networks, and we are also high on score of innovation capability. But even so, there's still a lot to be done, and there's a lot of regulations that we need to work together. And there's too much very detailed regulation that are hindering investments. For example, what comes to permit and licensing procedures for the data centers, for the mobile network or fixed network. Our goal in our association is to make the business environment better, more positive towards innovations, and more positive towards investments as well. And the key challenges are making sure all decisions that politicians are making are made technology neutral and market driven. We do not want politics to choose winners, but state has to make the environment progressive, not to overregulate, but still to make sure competition works between all stakeholders. This phrase of a level playing field is one of the favorite ones that we have. And competition in ISP sector is very tensive in Finland, and that's the way it should be as well. We have issues that we don't agree upon. Those issues never be spread outside of the association. Luckily, we also have enough, in fact, big majority subjects that we do agree on. To give some examples, FICOM as a national association for ISPs has been very successful on spectrum policies, promoting public sector on its transition to cloud services, and latest on saving encryption in communication as one of the most important principles in our business. There would be plenty of other examples too. The agenda that we work is very wide. And it's decided by the board of the association, which is formed by the CEOs of the companies. I have my background in politics, and I cherish the work lobbyists are doing. For policymakers, it's impossible to follow and keep up with the technology these days. Organization to share. And when position comes from association of handful companies, you can be sure it's not representing just one company and their strategy, but it's common view that would push the whole business sector forward. I cannot emphasize it more. It's a great advantage for policymakers to have opinion from the whole business branch. No one wants to make bad decisions. That's something that sometimes we forget with the politicians. If I may recommend something for Albanian ISPs, as I understand that you still don't have much of that kind of collaboration, you should really form association to create shared understanding and to provide policy makers information needed for wise decisions, not wise only for the business, but also for the future of digital Albania. Then a few words about the European satellite that we have. Now you can put the slide of the EuroISPA. One before the, yes, thanks. So EuroISPA is our satellite in Brussels, and approximately 80% of legislation concerning ICT sector is originally coming from European Union. And together with finance sector, ISPs are under heavy regulation. EuroISPA's position comes from national associations, although EuroISPA is representing over 3,000 ISPs around Europe. Our agenda is decided together in general meetings to best serve our members. And here is the full list of the files that we are following, just to give you a hint of the huge amount of regulation and files that are going around in Brussels at the moment. So now you could put the slide with the online content. Then yes, this one. So here is, even though there's now this idea of not making more regulation in Commission, a new Commission is emphasizing that there's enough regulations, we don't need any more, but we all know that there will be a lot that we will face in the next 5 years. It's not only that there will be new initiatives, but there's a lot of reviews of the present legislation that we have. And one of the files that I would pick from here on this list on online content, I would take the CSAM. This is the child sexual abuse material, which is a huge proposal, has been going around in Brussels in different institutions for a long time. And this is exactly the one that is actually dealing with the encryption and aiming to break the encryption policy in Europe. So there's big issues on the table, and we need to be on those tables where they are discussed, so that all the stakeholders understand what is actually the result of doing some decisions. Then the next one is about the data economy, and I would pick here as the AI Act, which is the Artificial Intelligence Act, which has been decided already. It's published, and it's now the implementation phase is there in member states, and it's something that we would fear that it would end up like GDPR, that we would have different kind of legislation actually in all the different EU countries. So following up the implementation is one of the key factors that we are doing in EuroISPA, among EuroISPA as well, and trying to help our governments to make wise decisions here again. That's something I would say. And then the third combination of the files that we are following in EuroISPA is the infrastructure, which is the third slide here. And there it's maybe the coming years will be very important for the Telecom, which is the EECC, that will be reviewed. And then there will be this new Digital Network Act, DNA, and how those two will be combined is a big question mark for the business at the moment. And there's a lot of very meaningful things inside of those both files, like I said, EECC and DNA. For the lobbying, the timing is everything, and to know right people in Commission and Parliament. And EuroISPA is the key to help national associations on that work. And EuroISPA is well heard in Brussels due to the fact that we always have some concrete proposals to offer. Albania aims to be the full member of European Union latest in 2030, I understood. And path towards joining the European community means adapting, among other things, also the full package of digital regulation that is there already. As already mentioned, it would be very beneficial for Albanian ISPs to collaborate together via national association already on these files that are on the way, and to understand the system, how the regulation burden comes from the EU, and how the work of the implementation is also done. So this is something that we all are struggling a little bit, because there's a lot to be done, and lobbying, as mentioned already, needs to be timing and concrete proposals. So it's work of its own, I would say. Then I have the last slide, where I have some insights of the Commission's work program that will start now in January. It hasn't been published yet, so there's a lot of rumors going around. And recently nominated Commission will publish the program in coming week, maybe end of January latest. As mentioned already, there has been this tsunami of legislation on digital services in past mandate, as can be seen in those 3 slides that I had. And now the situation will be different. There is big crisis in Europe when the mandate is starting. All eyes are in Ukraine. At the same time, EU countries are facing turbulent period. There's a lot of political turbulence in Europe. Germany having elections ahead and French government stepping down. And European investments are lacking and economic growth has slowed down. So EU has no other option than focusing to create growth and making sure that single market would work better. All signs on digital policy are pointing on that direction. There has been 3 key reports in the past year indicating that EU will point more on business environment and on more efficient single market, not to forget commitments ahead on cybersecurity and less detailed regulation on digital services. And this lady here in this slide is the Executive Vice President, Henna Virkkunen, who will be the key person for the digital stakeholders in coming years. She and her officers in Commission need to be informed about the practical solutions, and there again, it's important to serve common European opinions. Here are my insights for the EU policy, and I hope this is some food for the thoughts for the panel discussion that will follow this presentation that I had. Thank you very much.
So thank you. Do you have any question for our guest? If someone, this is a special occasion since she's not with us, she's online. This is the only occasion to make questions. No questions? Okay. One. There is one. Yes. Just have a microphone, please. I know that there isn't one microphone. Yep. We have a question.
Thank you. Thank you very much for presentation and especially for a clear overview of what are the EU regulations linked with internet, but looking at broader online content, digital economy, cyber and infrastructure. As Albania is aiming to join EU, we are currently working to prepare our in midterm integration plan, national integration plan, and including the recent acquis to adopt in national legislation. And I am very interested to have your presentation. May you share with participants, and especially I'm from Ministry of Infrastructure, who is co-lead Chapter 10, which is linked with digital transformation in Albania. And since your presentation is so clear on what is under each topic linked with internet regulation, is very helpful for us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My pleasure, and hope to be for the help. We are there in Brussels. You can find us, and there's the address and email address and all the contact details. So please get in touch if there's anything that we can do for the help.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Elina, for your time, for your presentation, and I hope to see you in person in the next few months. So now let's move on to our big panel moment. We have a big discussion, but let me introduce Daniele Arena, who will be the moderator of this session. And so Daniele will introduce you all the guests that we have at the table. Thanks. Welcome, Daniele.
Thank you very much. First, a technical thing. There is actually a presentation for the panel. It's not just a slide here. But while they're looking for my presentation, which is not a long presentation, it's just to introduce the different topics. Thank you. For those who don't know me, I'm Daniele Arena. I'm a project manager for Namex. I've been working with Raj on setting up and developing ANIX for a while, so many people know me. So I'm going to ask the people from the panel to come up here. I'm going to call you in no particular order. Lorenz Bacco from AKEP, the Albanian regulator. Thank you for participating. I'm going to call Thibaut Plenaire to join us. Irena, since you're already standing. Thank you. And then all the different ISPs and carriers. Reed Fischler from Hurricane Electric. Rosario Pingaro from Convergenze. Dritan Pajenga from Enet. And Illi Pulai from Madcom. Thank you to all for joining us on this panel. And yes, hopefully this works. Okay. All right. So some people were here, not actually here in another room 2 years ago. And we had a similar panel. It wasn't, sorry, let me open my phone because I have my notes here and I also have my Slido, and I will ask you some stuff in there. So yeah, okay. So this is going to be an interactive panel. We have 7 panelists, which is quite a lot. I'm not going to ask you, all of you, to answer all the questions, but I'm going to try and ask some of you the questions. Of course, anyone is able to answer and to say something if you want. And I will also ask you to ask questions. You are on Slido. You have seen that there's a possibility to ask questions in there. It's anonymous, so you can ask whatever questions you want. And of course, I will select which questions I will ask to the panel. Okay, so 2 years ago, I was saying, we had a panel, but that panel was more focused on connectivity in Albania. And so let's start from there, because then we will have other topics. But I want to ask the same question we did 2 years ago. So we have actually a poll on Slido. Flavio, if you can activate it, and maybe you can put it on the board. No, not the next slide. Just put the Slido screen on. Yes, it. Oh. So if Elina, can I tell? Sorry, all technical things. If Elina is not there on the Zoom anymore, you can actually turn off the Zoom and not have to share every time everything. Okay, just close it. Okay, so this is exactly the same question I asked 2 years ago. So what has been your bandwidth need? Let me do this so you can actually see the screen, and I can too. For 24 compared to 23. So between 10, 20, and 50% more bandwidth in 24 compared to 23, or between 50 and 100%. I cannot see how many people have answered, but yeah, it's going on. No one has said less bandwidth in 24 than in 23. Some have actually said, you can see it below, more than double the bandwidth in 24 compared to 23. So there is a need for increased bandwidth. If you can go back to the presentation now. So yeah. Okay. Okay, so this was 2 years ago. 2 years ago, we had telegeography presenting some data about the bandwidth growth. And we can see that this is from 2020 to 2022. There was an increase of international bandwidth, a lot of increase in Kosovo, and almost 40% in Albania. So I got some data. Unfortunately, telegeography wasn't able to join us this time, but I got some data, updated data from them. And this is how it is now. So these are the values from 22 to 24. And you can see Albania and Kosovo are rather on the right side. And the increase is low, relatively low compared to the increase in bandwidth that we've seen before. About 15% for Albania and 25% for Kosovo. So transit prices in Europe. This is also an update. And this has been presented by Telegeography at the last European Peering Forum. And these are the prices for 100 gigabits in some cities in, so 10, 100 and 400 in some cities in Europe. So you can see that you never pay more than 20 cents, even for 10 gigabits. In the largest countries in Europe. So just simple question to the panelists, and I think more to the ISPs carriers. So I would like to ask Dritan, Rosario, you just came, so maybe you can tell us how did you find the situation here, and Reed and Ili, what has changed in bandwidth and prices in Albania since 2022? Who wants to start? Dritan?
Is the prices are coming less and less. The more problem is local loop. That is, for the moment, the thing that it is still high.
Local loop, meaning from where to where?
Local network between cities.
Between cities, okay. Rosario, how did you find the situation of bandwidth and pricing when you came? Because Convergenze has just opened the POP in Tirana, so.
Yes, too early to say, to call, so it's very difficult for us to tell something about it. But we found a growing country, very in the path to become an European country. So I think it's a path that we know very well in Italy. Also, my company knows very well because we went up in 2005 like a small wireless ISP, and then we grow up to digging fiber. So we know that when there is less, I think there is a lot of things to do. So I think here we can share our experience, our particular business model, because we are a telecommunication company, but we are also a benefit corporation. Benefit corporation means not a charity, means a company that does its business in a responsible way, and this means delivering value for all the stakeholders around the company. This is a very nice thing to do in a developing country. So when you do profit and value for the stakeholder, I think to grow, not just in terms of economic, but also in terms of social value and everything around the company, can speed up the growth of the area where the company act. So I think we can share just not our technical expertise or our network, but also our business model.
Thank you. Reid, Ili, do you want to comment?
Yeah, okay. The increase of the bandwidth prices and bandwidth request is more related with the request of the clients. Using right now more and more video content, etc. All the people asking for more bandwidth, and is the ISPs and operators duty to give to them all these requests. Now, with the reality that network is changing, and we can say that more than 17% right now is fiber optic network, we can offer as operator more and more bandwidth, and the price is something else. All the people want to spend not huge amount of money for the internet, just the price stay the same and bandwidth is going up. This is more than 20 years, the price of the internet has not changed. I can say that in 2004, the price has been 15 euro per month. It's quite the same and now.
But that's for the end user, you mean?
For the end user. The price of bandwidth, of course, is going down.
And is it the same for ISPs? Can ISP cope with the demand then?
Sorry.
Can ISP respond to this demand?
Of course, the ISPs can respond and fulfill all the requirements of the clients.
Reid, do you want to add something?
I will just add that the unique situation in Albania, and it also sits for some of the other countries in the region, including North Macedonia, is the lack of inter-European fiber routes that come through the country. It prevents the pricing decreases that we see in some of Central and East and Western Europe from coming to Albania. And that comes mostly from both the lack of the larger international and continental networks from building directly through and into the country, but also from local providers keeping routes to themselves and not cooperating to build paths that are available to neighboring countries in the same rate that we find in other countries. So it does help to have companies not act in a protective manner and act in a cooperative manner in order to help pricing decrease for everybody.
Okay, thank you. So in connection with this, and this is something that has been addressed also the last time, we talked about intercity fibers, and that's one of the perceived issues that I always feel when I come here. And for those who don't know, the non-Albanians, so to speak, there are only, well, not only, but mainly two operators, one and ATU, who provide intercity fiber there's also OST, but they don't provide ducts and they don't provide dark fiber yet, as far as I know. So this was one of the perceived issues. AKEP has done a broadband wholesale market analysis, which contains many things, but it also contains an analysis of this to figure out whether some regulation had to be made. And so just to, you probably cannot really see it, but it's in the report. These are the fibers that One Albania has. These are the fibers that ATU has, and those cover more or less the whole country. And everyone else is really marginal. There's almost no fiber, no ducts, sorry, but ducts means dark fibers, etc., from the others. So you can see the dominance for sure. One of the things, oh, the colors are really bad, but one of the things that AKEP has analyzed is the wholesale dark fiber sold by ATU, One Albania, and the others. I'm not sure, Lawrence, I didn't find in the report, I don't know if you know, if this is only for intercity fiber or for everything. For everything. So it's both for intercity and for city. So it's 3,000 kilometers. About, so the 2022. I don't know if that's a lot or a little, to be honest. I've tried to ask and I haven't received good replies, so maybe someone can tell me from the audience. But so AKEP has acknowledged that there are barriers to entry. I'm not going to read this, it's in the report. But there are barriers to entry if you want to start your own fiber network from scratch. But there are three criteria that AKEP has analyzed, and to figure out whether they have to regulate. They say regulate ex ante, so mean regulate before something happens, because of course AKEP can always regulate after there's a problem. But and they decided that apart from the barriers to entry, the other criteria were not met. So AKEP is not going to regulate the intercity fiber market. I have to add, before I put the question here, as a disclaimer, there's no representative of ATU or One Albania here, unless I'm mistaken. So no one registered. We did invite them. So we're not doing this at their shoulders, but we did invite them. We wanted them also to participate to the panel, but they couldn't be there. So I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry we're going to talk about this without them being present. But this is an issue that we felt has been felt by people. So that's why we bring that up. We bring that up again because it was brought up in 2022. But now my question is, since AKEP has done a market analysis, and it's an honest question, is this really a problem? I mean, maybe not, right? Because you guys are ISPs, you're doing your business, you're growing, there's a lot of ISPs, etc. And we're going to talk about the ISP market. So is this really a problem? I think we have a Slido poll with exactly this question. So I'm not going to show. No, don't show it. We might show it after after I asked these people. but please do answer if you think it's a problem or if you think it's not a problem, and why it is, why it's not. Honest question, really. So I'd like to first, of course, involve the AKEP and the ministry, and I don't know whether Mr. Kleiner also has an opinion on this, but please tell me whether what you think about this.
Thank you. I was just commenting that normally you don't do regulation by polling. So
we're not doing regulation here. It's just
no, so my reaction is that, I mean, this is very, very interesting, but I think that these kind of issues are extremely complex. And I can tell you it's not only in Albania that we have precisely this kind of questions in terms of how to best optimize, investment and pricing. And it's one of the most complicated issues you can have in terms of telecommunication regulations. And I can tell you that as part of our current efforts now to revisit possibly the telecommunications code, these are precisely the kind of parameters that we are trying to well apprehend. And there is a lot of debate because precisely some people consider that you need first investment. Others think that you need first competition that triggers investment. So at this stage, I think that the figures you were showing initially are very, very interesting, because it shows something that looks like an anomaly in Albania. On the one hand, there seems to be capacity. On the other hand, not take up. So this may call for some further investigation. But I think that the best place is certainly the regulator that has more, I think, evidence and also consultation ongoing than just in this room.
Thank you.
If I add something, the document of broadband market analysis go through a long public consultation. And I take the opportunity, being part of this panel, encourage all actors working in the telecom market, ISPs, electronic communication networks and services, to use the instrument that law has for so many times well established, to give their feedback when the consultation for this important document is open. As part of ecosystem, since I work in ministry and we have regulatory body as independent body, and they go through preparation of market analysis, public consultation, collect feedback from the market players, other stakeholders interested. They publish and make transparent what kind of feedback they received and how they reflect or not reflect, and giving their views before to final decision. I saw that a few companies give feedback for such important document. And when the public consultation is closed, you lose the opportunity to raise your voice for any kind of issue or problem. But nevertheless, since I take the floor, I will give you the information that electronic communication law is recently approved in the Assembly in May this year, and it is a high alignment of EU electronic communication code and expected to come in force in next 2 weeks, in 21st of December. And this new electronic communication law, as mentioned in the speech of our deputy minister, put as strategic policy objective very high capacity networks deployment, asking for further digital infrastructure development based on fiber optic up to the endpoint, guaranteeing the high quality and bandwidth for end users, and also 5G and other networks. But in concrete terms and question you raised, we have here the colleague from regulatory body to give you more information.
At first, I want to thank all the Namex team about organizing this event, but also for helping Albania to have the internet exchange point, because it's very important, it's crucial for the internet infrastructure in the country. I want to stress what Jelena said before, that this conclusion is proved, let's say, after 6 months of consultation, improvement, etc. And I'm a little bit surprised that we had only 2 or 3 comments from the operators. I thought that maybe we received about 20, but we received only 3 comments. And to be more transparent and more honest on this process, the study is done not by AKEP employee, but we have done through a consultancy from a very known company that is doing this job for many years, to be more transparent and to be more flexible on that. And they organized interviews with operators. After that, it was a process of consulting, when all the operators had the opportunity to represent their issues, their problems, and etc. So this that is maybe is a problem, as you said, but maybe it's not. The first one that should address that is or not a problem are ISPs, are those that has interest to represent that claims about if something is going wrong. So I wanted just to say that all the procedure for this market study, it was transparent and open. But I need to stress, like Jelena said before, I check from ISPs, from operators, not only for this process, for the broadband market analysis, but for all the consultations that the regulator is doing during the years, because there are many markets that are under market studies. The operators, the ISPs, should be part of this process and to present their claims, their issues, and etc. Thank you.
Thank you. I think this is really rhymes with the call from Elina to build an association of ISPs, because this is exactly what ISP associations do in other countries. In Italy, for example, they follow very much the work of the institutions, the laws, the regulations, etc. So they're not ISP associations are really usually very active on these things. So I think the calls are mostly for this. Does anyone want to add, Ili?
There is a problem discussing about the network is interurban one and this urban one. And the problem for both of them is infrastructure. So building the network is a specialty of the ISPs and can build the network. Building the infrastructure is something else. Just to get the permit to build the infrastructure is something that you have to suffer a lot. The law is the same, but the local governments are different. They treat this law as they like, and so it's very difficult to get the permission to build the infrastructure. Without infrastructure, no one can build network, or can build a network like you can see aerial one without confused network, etc. This is for local urban network. For interurban network, is quite monopoly situation, and no one can enter at the moment to build new infrastructure, of course, which is cost a lot, and to build the network. Let's hope that this strategy that Ms. Malloy mentioned is something that will happen, and someone which we can call network infrastructure or network operator will build this and offer for service operator. This happened at the beginning. ATU built the network and was serving as network operator. When it started to offer the service, something changed and is not the same. This happened, and this is the situation for the second operator, one, and it became as a duopoly, quite monopoly situation. Thank you.
Irena wants to answer,
Okay.
and then Tritan.
Yes, the problem of build permission is raised time after time from the market players. We have some regulations in place, and the current law adopted in 2016 aimed to facilitate the civil work coordination process, as well as facilitate using of existing physical infrastructure of utilities. And there are some examples are in place, but not enough. We are aware that this year EU adopted the new acquis, which is Gigabit Infrastructure Act. And in the framework of new growth plan and reform agenda, Albania also committed to go ahead with broadband infrastructure regulations to follow the best practice and EU model. And this year in June, we include in the amendments of the decision of Council of Ministers for Territory Planning Development some part of Article 9 of Gigabit Infrastructure Act, which foreseen those works, civil works, need to go ahead without permission. And I will share with you this kind of information since it might help you. In addition, Ministry of Infrastructure and Energy has established the unit for broadband competent office, a small unit in similar model with EU practice. And since January next year, it will be operational. And we are thinking that this unit will help as advice or contact point for you in order to see how it is going on, the implementation of the existing regulatory framework, broadband law, or other sub-legal acts which are linked with implementing it, and to see where it is the room to improve or to facilitate further the process. Regarding the intercity or the situation with backbone, access to backbone, as you mentioned, it is a decision from regulatory body based on this market analysis not to designate any SMP and to leave the market in self-regulation. But of course, with new law came in force in 21st of December, there are some kind of provisions or further measures foreseen in the new law, such as geographical survey for broadband infrastructure, and it is a duty of ACEP as well as in cooperation with ministry to make this geographical study and to ask not only telecom operators about the presence of existing infrastructure, but also other public institutions that build infrastructure able to host digital infrastructure which guarantee very high capacity networks, not only for existing and presence of the existing infrastructure, but also for their plans of investment in near 3 years, etc. And we are in the process expecting to have some kind of support from EU through IPA funds for the next year, helping us to develop the implementing acts for this new piece of legislation. But create a close cooperation, such this activity, forum, or association of ISPs or telecom operators. Even for telecom operators, there is no any association in place. We have IT Association, which is Albanian IT Companies Association since many years, since 2008. They are more active, but more focused in IT component, not in ICT overall, or what is discussed today, digital transformational, digital environment, as presented from the previous session, that when we speak for internet regulation, we have different components and it is going wider and wider. Even for us, working for so many years in the sector, working for regulations, for policy making, it is going more and more complex and not easy task to follow. Since if we speak to online content regulation, there are a lot of regulations in place, but it is not in vertical line. It is cross-cutting issue when we speak, for example, e-privacy, GDPR, DSA, the Digital Market Act, or other acquis, cybersecurity, NIS2 directive, EU digital wallet, which is coming soon also for the region, since it is part of the reform agenda with other components to guarantee open, reliable, resilience, and trust digital infrastructure. And we have a lot of actions in the plan, in this reform agenda, in growth plan, which is finally approved from the government of Albania in 26th of November after a prolonged negotiation process with the EU. And we hope to have improvements. But of course, I invite all the actors, all the people in this room and wider, others which are not joining us today, to give their contribution. And contributions start when you have an invitation for public consultation. Do not skip that step, since this is the moment to raise your voice and to submit where are the problems, what is the solution. If you agree or not agree today with the final decision based on this document, it was the time to give your feedback a year ago. This is what the process go ahead. And what we recently are looking, we see a lot of, a number of regulatory bodies from EU member states in the same position or in a mixed position. We see also decisions of European Commission or BEREC guidelines, agree or not agree with some kind of regulatory decisions to remove remedies from broadband market, or to stress or to put some additional, and it is a long debate about that. Since it was mentioned some kind of white paper from European Commission about for the future of telecom. It was mentioned Draghi report or other documents asking for consolidation of telecom market, or some gaps need to be treated in the legislation, and the EU itself is planned or proposed to substitute or make amendments in EU electronic communication code soon. So there are a lot of developments, but to have proper solution, we need to understand the local market better and to have better understanding of the concrete problems, as mentioned from Mr. Poulet about the building permission complexity with local governments. And as part of this project of technical assistance from EU, we include also local governments as part of the process. And one of the duty of the BCO unit in ministry will be to cooperate and communicate with local governments how they are implementing some rules we adopted since 2 years or earlier. For example, to facilitate the rules for building permission, make transparency, put the information on their webpage or something like that. Thank you.
Thank you, Irena. You keep spoilering the. I have a question later about the law, but it's good that you start talking about it. I already have a queue of 2 people in the panel who wants to speak, but I have one question that it's a personal curiosity. I've seen that they're building the railway between Tirana and Durrës, right? Is this railway going to also have fibers in there?
We have already fibers. And in addition, since 2006, since Albania has transposed the law for broadband, which is based on cost reduction broadband directive, it is the duty of public authority who investing in this road to include the ducts for the fiber. This is mandatory by the law. Nevertheless, as Ministry, we are informed from some requests from the market players addressed to National Road Authority about they want to make some shift of the existing in order to protect the existing infrastructure there, also to add some other ducts on that. But it is obligatory by the law, any new investment, especially those with public funds, to include the ducts ready for fiber optic.
Great, that's excellent news. Thank you. So I have first Tritan and then Rosario.
I was thinking about what the colleagues told about these networks. I think that we have to see more in through what is happening in our market. In our market, in end users, you have price fighters here. You don't have real internet providers in the end users. They are not using standards. I think mostly of networks. They are even not autonomous systems. Just connect the cables and give without. So this.
You're skipping to the next question, so
yeah,
I will ask you later.
Yeah, but I see because there is a connection of the market. The prices should be higher. Everybody say so. Some of operators which are playing monopoly in interurban area zones, they are having these end users. They profit for them. They have low prices, and it seems they compensate the prices with dedicated lines. So he has this market has a shape, but can we change that? I remember, because we are old, we are getting now in pension after some years, and we see that in time before, 10 years before, I don't quite remember, but it was an intervention of the former government, and because the prices of internet connection was very high, was monopoly. They intervened it through OST infrastructure. They got connection with Kosovo. We got lower prices in internet, and this changed the game. The game changed, not as it should be, because the standards were neglected, and we came to these phenomena of the bad networks and low prices and price fighters. So it was another idea. Elina, you remember one dig project, there. It should be a combination with one dig project with every intervention. When you intervene for a short time, I'm for a free market, but I see that you can pass many years, and this problem of poverty you cannot solve in Albania. So there are many people too poor. The running cost monthly for telephone, power, electricity, oil is rising up. So also internet is necessary. And we as society are agree that we can pay somebody plus for having internet. Because if the parents cannot afford, they don't have works, and why the children cannot have and profit for internet, since internet is from searching engine, and now from AI is getting more and more important for personal development, for even for technical abilities, skills, and so on. So I think it should be an intervention with OST. Why are you looking for another infrastructure for interurban? We have already OST infrastructure. Why don't think as 10 years before, but better, with to repair to do this complex intervention. I guess it. I'm not able even to think it over, because you should have these knowledges and But why not to think for this intervention and to combine with compensation of the prices of the poor population? So the prices are so high, then ISPs can stand up with standards. So it would be a smooth change the game of internet and delivery. Why is important interurban development? There is a reality that our ISPs, autonomous system, that they already operate in these zones. They are not full, but they cannot afford the prices of interconnection. How to reach the customers? Now, for a bandwidth, which is dedicated bandwidth, I'm speaking for dedicated bandwidth. If now with the development and with cybersecurity tools, a modern firewall now asks 50% of bandwidth is asked for firewall. If we have 100 given to the client, 50% is consumed by a modern cybersecurity firewall. So even for that fact, we could urgently double the bandwidth if you are asking for security. I don't dare to build a backup business, because which prices should I apply? And there is a need also for security, everything. So okay. The systems, the technology exists. The systems could be back for a question of minutes, but how to apply? And you need a real-time. These are real-time processing. It requires a very low latency. So it's necessary also having an exchange IXP functional and with all the actors, Telecom, EU, etc.
Okay.
So this is my point. I'm sorry for minutes.
No, don't worry. Turn off your microphone.
Okay.
Thank you. So last, then we have to proceed to the next topic. Rosario?
Yes, my idea is that the problem about the long distance interconnection is not so big in terms of time. It will be fixed in some times. And I think it will be fixed shorter if you act together, like an association to press and to change something to stimulate more investment for the long distance. But this will not fix the industry problem, that is the very small margin that you will have on fiber, because we have to buy the local loop. So I think, like in Italy, there will be two kind of winners in ISP game. The first one that doesn't invest in infrastructure, but cannot sell just internet. It will sell internet, phone, media, alarms, everything that could do. One time that you are inside the home, you can provide more access to everything. IoT, invest in other IoT technology, but you have to to provide a bigger portfolio of product because access can provide you the margin. Another winner would be some of you that is bold and start to invest in infrastructure. Yes, it's difficult to get the local permit, but believe me, in Italy, the bureaucracy is not is not very different. Sometimes very tough, but it could be done. We started to build in 2015 a very little local FTTH network, and we never stopped then. So you can start slow, you can start small, then grow, attract investment from your partners, open your capital to partners, and speed up the growth also in infrastructure, because only if you have infrastructure, you have the margin. We now have 45% margin on our access that we sell on our own infrastructure. We have break-even, just break-even on fiber cop or open fiber local lab. So it's a very competitive market, but you have to be bold in both ways, building services or building infrastructure, or doing together if you can.
Thank you, Rosario. And this leads up very well to my next topic. But before, let's look at the results. It seems that, there's a no, but there's also several yeses about is it the presence of only 2 interurban fiber carriers? We're not making regulation and policy on this. It's just the feedback. Can you scroll down, please, a little bit? Because I think there's more answers. But yeah. So the thing I would like to say, I agree with Irena that this study has been done. There was a time to comment, and this time has gone. There's going to be another market study in, I don't know, a couple of years, I guess, 2, 3, 4, 5, I don't know.
Based on the new law, which came in force, we put the same timeline as EU has in the EU code, which is over 3 years, 3 to 5 years, since of course it needs, but ACAP, regulatory body, has the room to intervene or to initiate earlier a market analysis if it is needed, or if we have problems need to be addressed, or changes in the market itself. Of course, that based on the new law, all the implementing acts, including ACAP regulations, also the regulation for market analysis, definition of relevant markets need to be adopted, and need to be adopted within 2025. And based on this process, ACAP will initiate earlier. The most important is to raise your voice in the right time, in the right place. It is no wrong to discuss here today about that document, or what are the problems, or what are the solutions. But keep in mind, if you want to address a problem, go in the regulatory body and submit that we have this problem with high prices of interconnection, interurban or local loop, since it needs to be heard from the regulatory body who has the competence and the task based on the law to decide and to make the remedies for regulation. We have a law with a lot of independence to regulatory body. Even with new law, we go further with this good practice based on EU practice. And ACAP has the power to address the problems of the market.
Yeah, and that's what I was about to say. If you go back up a second. Hello. I've seen up. Yeah. I've seen some things. They do not give dark fiber in strategic routes, or they delay as much as possible. If you think that there is a violation or problems, or they they do some, I don't know, something against competition, there you can ask AKEP. You can say, look, I've done this and they're not giving me dark fiber. They should. They're taking 1 year to give me dark fiber. So if you see violations, I think that, I don't know, Lawrence, I guess that AKEP is open to that.
Yes, of course. And in the moment that the new law will be in place, AKEP has the right not only to give the right to who is requesting the access in beginning from the DACs to the dark fiber to the capacities, etc. Not only to give the right to have this opportunity, but also with the new law has the right also to put also the price, checking from the operator that is giving the service to calculate, to do the calculation or to present all the calculation, how this price is presented, respecting also the profit that should have the giving operator for the infrastructure. So till now exists the possibility to present a problem that is between operators, especially between operators. But with the new law, the operators will have also the new possibility.
Thank you. I have to move on to the next part, otherwise we'll never get to lunch. It's very late. Can you go back to my presentation, please? Yeah. Okay, so the next part is related to the, oops, other side, sorry. Yeah. Okay, so another thing that that is in that report, and it's not just the passive infrastructure, there's also analysis of the ISP market. So AKEP concluded that there's no entity with significant market power in the fixed broadband market. And you can actually see that in 2023, the market share is relatively even between the largest, of course, providers. While in the mobile market, there's actually two entities with significant market power because they split almost evenly the mobile phone users. This is a slide from Jelena. So it seems like the fixed market is rather fragmented. When I go to when we spoke with Elina in preparation, the EuroISPA president, in preparation of this meeting, we told her how many ISPs were in Albania, and she said, "How come there's so many?" So why is there so much fragmentation? Is my question, and is it a problem that there are no entities with significant market power in the fixed market? And again, this is a fair, just honest question. Probably not, but this is open to anyone who wants to respond. And there's Flavio. Can you put on a slide up? Oh, thank you. Don't show it. Just respond. It's more or less about this.
There are many reasons why the market is so fragmented. But let's remember that 10 years ago, the penetration of internet in households in Albania was about 30%. And now it's about 88%. So the first phase that we were interested was to have the access in whole the country and in whole households. Now that I think that the penetration in Albania it's better than some other European countries. We're thinking for the rest, not to secure only quantity, but also the quality. So now with the new law begins a new phase when all the operators should respect all the conditions that the new law checks from ISPs to be an operator, including here the security issues. And also the fragmentation is because in the territory of Albania, it's a little bit complicated with mountains, with a very difficult terrain. And in some small cities or in village, only the local providers can offer the internet services, and the big operators were not interested or was not with feasibility for them to offer the service in those areas, because also the big operators have some standards, let's say company standards to offer the services, but the smallest one have lower standards, and now it's time to respect the same standards as the big companies offer for the client.
So this is more or less connected to what Dritan was saying, the lowering of the standards. But do you think that this will then reduce the fragmentation in when we meet next year, or maybe 2 years later? Will we find a less fragmented market? Rosario.
I think that the identification of the NESTI for consolidation of telecom market is noticed also in Draghi report or for all Europe countries. Albania has some specifics. It is linked maybe with starting point, with very low penetration of fixed telephony, very low penetration of internet. Internet itself in commercial base presented in Albania late compared with other Europe countries or globally at least 10 years when we opened the market for presence of commercial ISPs. 3G also late in Albania in 2010, the first license. It is more or less 10 years later compared with EU. But I would like to emphasize the NESTI for standardization, the NESTI to respect all the law requirements for security measures, and they are so detailed in the law. Security measures based on technical point of view, organizational point of view, guarantee the protection of consumers or end users, safeguard for fundamental rights, open internet, and in parallel, transparency of all information based on contracts that ISPs has with end users. For the first time in the new law, we have specific chapter regarding open internet regulation, which is in line with EU regulations. I would like to clarify even what Lawrence said. We have also in the present law regulations, but it is not articulated as for internet. It is in general electronic communication network providers or electronic communication service providers. And now in the law, we are more specific with internet. And for example, for security measures is required that any ISP or any undertaking work in access of internet to take measures to have protection for security reasons, etc., etc. So standardization, security, in order to guarantee reliable open internet and trust. We have NIS2 directive in the law for cybersecurity, and even IXP as core part of network of infrastructure is now as critical infrastructure based on cybersecurity law and other components, domain name, registers, etc., etc.
Mr. Kleiner. Oh, sorry.
I have a question about the mobile market concentration. Is there, sorry about my ignorance, is there a regulation about mobile virtual operator? Because since in Italy we had the possibility to have a mobile virtual operator, MVNO, we have very tight competition in the market and entered a lot of other small firm into the field, lowering the price. So I think maybe this could work also here.
I think so. We have no any limitation based on the legal framework for MVNO. Albania has had 4 mobile operators since 4 or 5 years ago, and since 2023 we have 2 mobile operators, but they are both regulated from ANCAP. Maybe Lawrence need to say something else, but there is no any limitation based on the law. It is based on the market request.
So there was okay.
I
So
want just to add, I totally agree with what Jelena said. That's no limitation. With the last 2 authorizations that we gave for two big operators to offer 5G services in Albanian territory, one of the requests is to support and to not discriminate any request regarding the MVNO operators. Is written in the request for authorization. So there's no any restriction, there's no any legal act or any difficulty that one MVNO operator to operate in Albania. I think that is only a question of business case.
Mr. Kleiner.
No, I mean, I found the discussion very interesting. So I wanted actually to make 2 points also in complement to the other panelists. First, I fully agree with what was said that the transposition of EU legislation is a real opportunity now. I think that precisely the issues you were raising in terms of investment, in terms of regulation level and so on, we have this. We have also supporting incentives now to make the rollout of broadband fiber more efficient and to reduce the costs. I think this is something that the Gigabit Network Act is really bringing forward. But this is also an opportunity for stakeholders to engage in that process. So I think that really that's a strong message I hear from the discussion, that it's not just about transposing regulation, it's about using it to the benefit of providers, of users, of ISPs as a new framework for advancing the connectivity. What I wanted to say is also that seen from the EU, we still identify a gap, a divide between urban areas and rural areas. I think this is a place where still more could be done in terms of interconnection and deploying broadband network. And also on cybersecurity, I think that there are still some elements that could be certainly improved. And I would refer again to the 5G toolbox as an instrument for really looking at the resilience and the security of the network. But I also wanted to mention that there is also a positive development with the multi-annual operational program on digital economy and society for Albania that was just approved actually a few months ago, and that will kickstart some opportunity for investment. So there is at least 30 million euros coming from the EU to precisely roll out more network and also to support the integration between IT systems, cybersecurity and digital connectivity. And I think that's where I would like to also emphasize the opportunity. I mean, in Albania, there are still multiple applications from the rolling out of 5G that are untapped potential. There is an effort in terms of device, because I think most of the population doesn't have phones or devices that actually are equipped for 5G. But at the same time, this is where probably there is a lot of demand potential that could be also justifying more of these investments.
Thank you. So please apply and get the money from the EU. Ili?
Thank you for mentioning it. And I will also add something about the CEF program. And CEF 2 program opened the door also for other countries, non-EU members, candidate or potential candidate. But we need to have partnership with EU partners. And for the moment, the round of the fourth or fifth call under CEF 2 program is open still end of February next year, and it covers also connection between Europe and other part of the regions, even for fiber optic cables undersea, even for 5G corridors. Take the opportunity, use your network with other partners in EU member states to apply and to use this program of EU for better connection, since it was mentioned from a distinguished panelists that Albania need more connection with European network connectivity.
Thank you. Ili?
Yes, I go back to the discussion about the ISPs, the number of ISPs. We count about 170 ISPs in Albania. AKEP has something more than 200 ISPs in Albania. The number is absolutely very high, and it's something strange on this. These operators, ISPs we call now, we can find ISP to a number of buildings operating. They can create possibilities to piracy, to evasion, to everything that they can make. Starting from 2009, AKEP implemented the new licensing rules and went under the authorization license. And this simplified and was welcomed in the time. And the number of the ISPs was rising about this. This was the effect. But this number, huge number, need to be controlled. Now this is something boomerang for AKEP. AKEP has not resources and capacities to control what they implement. So they give the license, authorization, and nothing more to such operators. There are a limited number of operators under the control or inspection of AKEP. So something needs to be changed, maybe to the license rules. I don't see any something more than.
I see Jelena wanting to answer.
Since in that time when we worked to adopt the new regulatory framework in 2007-2008 based on EU package for electronic communication, it was a big change based on licensing regime. It was for the first time introduced the general authorization regime and facilitate the entrance for the new coming, etc. And the results of the general authorization regime are now in place, since compared with very low penetration for internet, telephony, we have now better situation. On the other hand, general authorization regime is associated with a number of conditions to obligatory to fulfill from any undertaking who operate in the market. They are now more complete with the new rules based on EU code. And what is important is any undertaking operating in this market is obliged to respect standards, security rules, all other components. And I am emphasizing this since a number of participation here are from internet service provider markets, and they need to go carefully, item by item in the law, to respect all the requirements. Otherwise, we have the punishment or remedies from regulatory body go behind fines if they are in.
So it's AKEP who
Yes,
is charged to enforce
yes.
this.
And they are so clear in the law. So the time is now to monitor better the situation, asking to respect the security rules, all the technical measures undertaken from the supervisors. They are so clear in the law. We have now a number of more complete legal framework from EU, a lot of acquis, even for illegal content, even for security, even for e-privacy. GDPR in Albania is now in parliament to final step of approval. This is a progress. And all you need to know what are in place and what you need to respect. It is not just to make a connection to end user, put the cable 3x3 or window by window, and just enough. No, it is not enough. If we are speaking to guarantee secure, resilience digital infrastructure, which is now commitment even as part of reform agenda or growth plan, we need to work together to respect the standards and law requirements, which is obligatory for any ISP. Thank you.
Thank you. Tritan has a question, and then
I have a question for
to close.
Elina. I'm sorry I haven't written the law, but the question is, does the new law foresee censorshiping policies applied by operators? Because on the media and in social media and so, we are hearing more and more that operator are magic and can do censorship, which is against cybersecurity. And this is association, future association, or existing association, but not in you know, Alnog is already, but it's not. It should be appearing, and there should be a factor, so the laws are designed better, not and the community is informed about possibilities of censorship. Should be informed that censorship can be bypassed by technology, is not efficient. Can be informed that in countries, even dictator countries like Thailand, that have done censorship, are top of censorship country, they have means of dictatorship, and then the results are that 70% of population, they bypass this censor and all the rules. You can do something with normal modern firewall in the level of institution, enterprises, when the firewall are in combination with computers and servers and equipments you provide are controlled, are in cooperation. But for operator, this is not. Operator has two things, network and DNS. By the way, AKEP has administrating for many years .al. Does AKEP has make any for DNSSEC? Okay, Albanians are wiser than the other countries.
So these are two questions.
Yeah, two questions.
So, and go on, Irena. Then I will. We're close to the end, so I will ask Irena to answer, and I'm going to skip the last part because otherwise we'll go over. I'm going to ask Irena to answer the first question, Lawrence to answer the second, and Ili also had asked me several minutes ago.
Switch off, please.
Go on. Britan, can you switch off the mic? Thank you, Irena.
Thanks for question. For sure not. So since the law has almost 200 articles, I ask you all read Article 5 and 6, which is linked with general policy objective, and clearly written in that policy objective based on Article 3 of EU Code that all actions undertaken from institutions and the sector need to guarantee also free flow of information, pluralism, and other aspects for open of communication. And in addition, in Article 139 of the law, you have the request and obligation to respect the fundamental rights as it is written in the Constitution of Albania and also in conventions where Albania participated. In the chapter 22 of the law, which is linked with open internet regulation, include in the provisions net neutrality principle and obligation of ISPs to respect the transparency for any traffic management tools they use in respect of net neutrality. This means that this is in the law in respect of the guarantee of open internet and other aspects. It is fully aligned with EU acquis and EU practice. On the other hand, you need to respect and to take measures to guarantee the security and trust provision of the services. This is clearly written in the law. I'm not happy that you said that you have not read the law yet, since we go through a prolonged consultation process before to go to Parliament since 2022, the first workshop in July, the second in September, November. After that, we go in 6 months or more consultation, close consultation with officers of EU Commission, especially DigiConnect and DigiNear, before to go ahead and to guarantee that we have a qualitative document and aligned with EU. Thank you.
We have 3 minutes before the end.
Very shortly.
So, Lawrence, does .al have DNSSEC or not?
We are, for the moment, we are just implementing the new infrastructure for .al infrastructure, and DNSSEC is approved to be implemented in the first 3 months of 2025. So
okay.
Will be implemented in maximum in 5 months.
Thank you. Ili.
Very shortly to leave you enjoy the lunch after.
No, there's another presentation. Don't leave for lunch.
Okay. I'm going back. I told before to the law. In the law or in the old law, there is nothing that will be changed to the new law regarding a cap and controlling the market. It's been the same in the old law. The second, SMP to the fixed market is not something strange for us to not have SMP in the fixed market. Maybe they refer to the number of ISPs, which I told before, more than 200. The public consultation, this is the last one I want to say. There are public consultation, but always they are kept during the market analysis, don't consider them. To the SMP analysis, to fixed market, there are comments. No one of the comments you can see is implemented in the final conclusion of the analysis. Okay, thank you.
So it's a bit weird for me to leave this as a last comment because this really is like a hand grenade thrown. So I leave 1 minute to Irena and
Yeah,
Florence to
I took
reply,
this
and then that's
message
it.
that there are some space for improvements, and these are some notes to take them from ACAP representative to be more transparent how they consider or not consider the comments or feedback given from market players. Since after any position of regulatory body, I have seen there are some arguments or explanation why it is not considered or not. But for sure, there is space for improvements in any projects. Thank you.
Thank you. And Thibault, the last comment from
just to finish on a positive note, maybe, because I found really the discussion very, very interesting. And I want to tell you that this is not unique. The debate you are having is something that is happening across the whole of the EU, because the technology is going very fast, and there is a need for investment and a need also to possibly revisit some of these regulatory approaches. So I think it's a great opportunity now to implement what the code. And I would really invite you to engage, as a constituency and communities, but just to tell you that you are not alone. And I think that you can benefit also from discussing with other regulators and other partners in the rest of the EU.
Thank you. And I would like to thank all the panelists here. It was, for me, a very interesting and lively discussion. So it's almost lunch, but not quite. It's still me. You can go to your seats if you want. It's still me on the. I have a presentation. It's called ALNOG, and I also invite. Yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry. Yeah, that's okay. It's gone. We don't. You have seen all the results anyway about the. Okay. Never mind. I would like to invite, you know who you are, Dritan Vreshta to here. I'm going to present, but he's going to be here because he's a long-time ALNOG volunteer. You can come here, or you can sit down, or you can do whatever you want. So we've been talking about ISP associations, we've been talking about regulation, we've been talking about law, and these are all very high-level things. And before lunch, I wanted to go back to a more technical level and talk to you about ALNOG. Some of you know what it is, some of you don't, and I'll tell you. Once upon a time, in 2017, actually in this very room, there was a person called Jan George. He's Slovenian, and he does a lot of stuff, but he's part of the Slovenian NOG, and NOG means Network Operators Group. And he presented the benefits of having a network operators group in Albania, which didn't exist at the time. So this was his title slide. And so I shamelessly copied the content, and you'll understand why. He authorized me, I asked. Thank you, Jan. This is not live, but if he ever looks at the recording. So why am I redoing this? You'll see later. So what's a network operator group? Who knows what a network operators group is? Okay, so 2-3 people. So these are groups of, you guessed it, network operators. So people who work on networks and people who would like to get together and meet and share information and maybe have meetings or just, a beer and discuss, but mostly technical problems. And here we're not talking about regulation and law, etc., but we're mostly talking about how did you implement RPKI in your network? Because I'm banging my head against the wall and it doesn't work. And this is what NOGs do. They bring together people and technical people who can share their views, their opinions, and mostly their best practices, what they are doing, and interesting stuff they're working on. So this is what a NOG is. It's written here. So help engineers meet other engineers and talk openly. And it's neutral, it's non-commercial, it's not for profit, it's not political, it's to talk about the technical issues. So this is what a NOG is. So the first NOG was in North America, of course, not just the US. It's called NANOG, North American Network Operators Group. It's US and Canada, but then it spread all over. So there's regional NOGs all over the place. There's national NOGs, and there's even local, regional, and city NOGs. In Italy now, there's a very fashionable thing all over the place. There are NOGs popping up in every city, and they meet for a beer once a month, for example. So actually, before horrible colors, but this is a map of NOGs. On top, there's Europe, Africa, Asia, and the Americas. But so the importance of NOGs. I'm not going to read the whole slide, but this is what I was talking about, to share among engineers, among people who care mostly about making things work rather than being in competition with others. And this has been going on for a long time. And you guys, some of you guys at least, are engineers, and you guys know that you're not in competition with the engineers of your competitor. You are an engineer like them. You want to have your network working, and maybe you don't ask anyone, or you don't want to share with anyone because you know competition. But technical things are technical things, so it's always good to share, because it solves the problem for everyone, and then the business actually grows, and the managers usually are happy that the engineers share, because then they learn and they become more effective at their jobs, not less. So who starts NOGs? Anyone. And you. So this is an image, and some of you might, Ergi, you're there. Some of you are in this picture. This was taken in 2017, and Jan asked who would be willing to participate to the Albanian NOG, and several people raised their hands. And I'm going to ask the same question later, so think about it. So actually the NOG was created, and it's called ALNOG, and a website was created, and a mailing list was created, and actually in 2018 there was an event of ALNOG. And shout out to Ergi, who's here, Dritan, to Kledi. Hi, Kledi, he's living in Maryland now. And so one of the reasons why I'm here is that, unfortunately, this is a missing piece, a piece of Jan's deck, that the community has to remain engaged. So the NOG has to stay in production, so to speak. And unfortunately, mostly because Kledi was the main driving force, Kledi Andoni, some of you know him, behind this NOG. When he left to work abroad, a lot of these things just fell a bit into disrepair. So part of the website doesn't work, and the mailing list unfortunately was lost. So if any of you was subscribed to the ALNOG mailing list, you're not receiving emails because the mailing list was lost. So both the archives, the members, everything. So let's try again. This is what we talked about with Dritan. I see some people from Kosovo here. While you wait to have your own KS-NOG, please join. We are trying to set up again the website and the mailing list. In the meanwhile, as in Italy, ITNOG works a lot on Telegram with a chat. I set up a chat on WhatsApp. I don't see enough phones getting up and okay. So, that's nice. Yes, put up your phones, get this QR code and start participating. And as soon as we're going to have a new website and mailing list and everything, we're going to tell you. And so who's going to participate to ALNOG? Raise your hands. Yes, more hands. Yes, okay, that's what I wanted to say. Thank you very much. And I leave it to Christian and then, yes, lunch.
Okay, so thank you, everyone. It has been an amazing panel. I think that it's so important to be on the same table, to have a discussion, even if you're not on the same line. I mean, everyone has different interests. Everyone sees the difficulties from another angle. So just that all of you accepted to be here and discussing together was really, really important. It's not something that we can take for granted. So thank you again for all the panelists. A few things about the afternoon. So yes, there is the lunch. The lunch is on second floor. On the elevators, there is just like no? Sorry, downstairs. They changed. It's downstairs. So, okay. Don't get... Arcania room. Downstairs on the right, maybe, or on the left. We'll discover. There will be someone saying, but usually people, they never get lost when they go to find lunch. I don't know why. They get lost for the panels, but not for the lunch. This is something to study for some university, you know. Practical things about the afternoon.